So what are the major things that we know about the vault at Beacon Academy? We know, first and foremost, that it houses the Relic of Choice. We know that the Fall Maiden is the maiden specifically designated to unlock that relic. And we know that Cinder Fall has seen the vault before, as stated when she saw the vault at Haven Academy, that the one at Haven was certainly grander than the one at Beacon Academy. And in fact, I believe we've seen the vault as well. The place that Pyrrha was brought to where Amber was being kept, Ozpin specifically called that the vault that is housed under the school. Now, the overall place that we saw wasn't the inside of the vault itself, but I believe the doors to the vault were right behind the chambers where Amber was being kept, and the chamber that would end up transferring Amber's power over to Pyrrha had the entire transfer process actually gone through. And I think that is the case just because the image that we see behind Amber and that we see while Cinder and Ozpin are fighting, and even in the reflection on the floor right before the fight, it looks very different than just a bland wall, which was the way it was pretty much around that entire vault. And that makes sense with what Cinder said that the one at Haven was much grander, because as we saw there, it was a giant tree, there was lights everywhere, and what looked like glowing leaves falling from the tree, which is much grander than just a dark old vault underneath the academy itself. And the last thing that we actually know about, or the major thing that we know about the vault under Beacon, is that there is something different about opening the vault than what's compared to the other schools. With the other schools, you just need the maiden that's specifically designated to unlock that vault. But as Ozpin stated in Volume 5, he made it a little bit more difficult to get into that vault. So you need more than just the Fall Maiden's powers, as shown by the fact that Cinder does not have the Relic of Choice. She was not able to get into the vault, even though she has seen it. She has been to the vault and wasn't able to open it. Now, of course, there's a couple ways that he could have done this. For example, his cane could be an extra key to open that. I highly doubt that's the case, specifically because when Ozpin was defeated, his cane was down there with his body, assuming that he actually does have a corpse. That's something for another video, but just touching on it briefly, if Ozpin died, his aura and spirit would obviously transfer to another person, but would his corpse remain, or would it just kind of disintegrate the way that the Grimm do, considering he's immortal and things like that? I'm guessing there'd be a corpse because his soul actually transfers to a different person and that person's body would be left there, and etc., etc., but his cane would be left there regardless, which Crow had to go retrieve later on. And I'm guessing if his cane was a key, that it would have reacted in some way to being close to the vault, or there would have been keyhole or something of the like where his cane could have fit in and operated something. Possibly when Cinder got up to his office, there might have been something there, but I don't think it's his cane, and in fact, by the thumbnail of this video, you probably guess what I think the second key to the vault is, or at least what's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get into the vault. Now, we know that Ozpin used up a lot of his magic to give the magic to the initial maidens, but he still has magic left. Now, it could be said that he could be the second key, just because he has magic himself. He could have imbued the vault himself to make himself sort of a second key to it, but that doesn't seem to fit Ozpin's character. He doesn't want to be kind of responsible for that, I don't think. But I do think that Glinda Goodwitch is the second key to the vault at Beacon. And although there's no real concrete facts to support this, it does kind of make sense, because Ozpin and the other headmasters of the schools are the guardians of their designated vaults. And with that, Glinda is the only other person that we see that's at Beacon Academy that knows all the secrets that Ozpin does, or at least a majority of them. She knows the secrets of the world, essentially, that the relics are a thing, that the maidens exist, that Salem exists, and there's a war going on against her. None of the other professors know that. Granted, we do see Crow being another outside person other than the headmasters who know this entire hidden aspect of the world. But the thing is, with Crow, his purpose is more information gathering for Salem. He has a purpose for intel with knowing everything that's going on in the world. But what's Glinda's purpose? Granted, she could just be kind of a backup in case something happens to Ozpin. She takes over the role of guarding that specific vault, which, again, does make sense, but then why wouldn't Leonardo Lionheart have one of those? And why wouldn't Ironwood have a second in command that would end up taking over his post of guarding the relic? And yes, you could argue that Winter Schnee could be that second, because she does obviously know at least some of what's going on in the world. But then again, both her and Ironwood left the Academy and Atlas at the same time. They were both there for the Vital Tournament, the Vital Festival. But Glinda has never left the vicinity of Beacon Academy. In Volume 1, we saw her go to the Emerald Forest for the initiation when everyone was first paired up and then made into teams, and we also saw her go to the forest where they ended up collecting the tree sap. But both of those were in the close vicinity of Beacon Academy itself, and she's also obviously gone to the city of Vale when Ironwood ordered her to create a safe area for evacuation to evacuate Beacon. But she has remained at Beacon Academy to repair it with the other professors that are there. And I don't think any of the other professors know the full secrets of everything that's going on. But we know that they have remained, and Glinda has remained, thanks to Professor Port, what he said when he was talking to Ty, that she's remained to help fix the school. And considering that Ozpin, when he was reincarnated into Oscar, he didn't go to Glinda, who was his most trusted advisor. Glinda was almost always around Ozpin in every scene that we saw her in Volume 1, 2, and 3. At least 70% of them, they were together. Whenever we saw Glinda, we would see Ozpin. So she's a very close confidant to Ozpin. And yet, Ozpin didn't even bother going anywhere near Beacon. He just went straight to where Crow was, which also is good to point out that Ozpin knew exactly how to find Crow. I'm guessing maybe there's something with a magic tracker or something along those lines. But back to the main point, I think Ozpin gifted some of his magic to Glinda Goodwitch to act as a sort of second key to the vault at Beacon Academy, because he was able to gift a small amount of magic. He even said that it was a small amount of magic in the overall scheme of things that he gifted to Crow and Raven. So what's to say that he didn't do that again? And I think it's also a little bit referenced by just her name. I think Glinda Goodwitch being based on the Good Witch of the South, I believe, from The Wizard of Oz, kind of might imply that she would have some magic of her own, even if it was just gifted to her by the wizard or Ozpin. And this is a little bit supported by what we saw back in Volume 1, the very first episode of Volume 1, when she was fighting Cinder while Cinder was on the carrier along with Torchwick. Now, Glinda's semblance is telekinesis. She can lift things with her mind, but she can't create storms. Telekinesis has nothing to do with creating actual storms or storm clouds. Now, in Volume 1, Chapter 1, we saw her create a storm cloud over top of the carrier craft that Cinder and Torchwick were in. Nothing to do with her semblance. We don't see her use dust ever in the overall series, so nor did she ever throw a dust crystal or anything of that sort. So where did that storm cloud come from? Now, it could be an oversight, considering that's the pilot episode of RWBY overall, but considering it's never been referenced, never been brought up, never been corrected, I think it must have been planned in some way, shape, or form, because they could have done something else other than storm clouds over top of the plane. And there's also the fact that when Jean's aura was first activated back in Volume 1, the creators of RWBY knew what Jean's semblance was going to be. So if they have that planned out so far in advance, why wouldn't they have Glinda Goodwitch planned out in advance? Especially considering they had already decided to base it on The Wizard of Oz. So would make sense that she has some magic, even if it was just gifted to her by Ozpin. And because she's never left Beacon, she's taken over the position of guarding Beacon, and since Cinder couldn't get into the vault, it's never really been elaborated on why she couldn't get in, whether she tried to get, like, how she tried to get in, and anything like that. She didn't seem, like, real upset or pissed off when she came up from the vault underneath the Tower of Beacon, so we don't know everything that happened there, but we do know she wasn't able to get in. And why is that? Because, as probably she wouldn't expect, and as probably Salem wouldn't expect, there was a second key in Glinda Goodwitch. Because Salem's not mentioned anything about Glinda, Salem's, or anyone in Salem's council either. No one's mentioned anything about Glinda, but they've all been talking about the headmasters. They've mentioned Ozpin, of course, being the main focus, their main adversary. They've mentioned Lionheart, obviously, and they've mentioned Ironwood as well, but they've not mentioned Glinda in any capacity. Maybe they don't know about her, or maybe they just think she's another teacher at the school, which would be a great cover if that's all they thought, that she was just another teacher that was just close to Ozpin and didn't know that she had magic. It would be an interesting way and a sensible way to mask everything to do with that vault and how to get into it. Even if it's just a small thing, it would make sense. Let me know what you guys think. If there's something else that I missed, if you think this theory is viable, or other possibilities as to what the secret of Beacon's vault could be, how Ozpin made it more difficult to get into. Whether it could be like his magic, or it could be someone else that we haven't met yet, or there could be some other item or something that is involved with getting into the vault. I look forward to hearing what you guys think down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.